Hello, and welcome to this preview video of day 8 of Hamlet, at least according to my plan. It's a focus on Act 3, Scene 2, which in a play full of just extraordinary scenes, may be one of the most extraordinary scenes. And I entitled this A Play, a Pipe, and Hot Blood. As we recall, at the end of Act 2, Hamlet experiences this amazing mixture of emotions in a very quick amount of time. He realizes his friends Rosencrantz and Guildenstern were out to deceive him, and then on the heels of that realization gives this extraordinary speech about the nobility of mankind. And then on the heels of that speech finds out that actors are visiting. And when the group of traveling actors visit, it is very clear. You can watch any movie version on mute and realize that Hamlet is never happier than when he's in the company of the actors, of the players. He realizes at the end of Act 2 that the ghost, his father's ghost, may be the devil in disguise, which was a belief at the time. And he's going to stage a play with the traveling actors that looks like the murder of his father. And he's going to watch his uncle to see if his uncle reacts. And if his uncle reacts in a particular way, Hamlet will know his father's ghost will be real and not the devil, and he'll be able to move forward with his plan of vengeance. He's going to use theater to make sure that he behaves justly. Now, many people speculate that one of the fascinating things, and I feel this too, and I'm an amateur reader of Shakespeare, but one of the most amazing things about Shakespeare is, unlike a lot of authors, it is really difficult to figure out what Shakespeare himself thinks. I love Dickens. I love Jane Austen. I love Toni Morrison. After reading several of their novels, I think I could figure out what their core beliefs are in their own hearts as writers, as people. And that doesn't mean it's bad, but Shakespeare has this ability to sort of take on the personalities of all of his characters so convincingly that Shakespeare himself sort of disappears. The one part in all of his plays that some scholars believe Shakespeare actually enters himself into the play is right before the players act in front of the king. Hamlet, who is a prince and is not a professional actor, gives acting notes to the professional actors. And this is worth listening to. If you have your book, it's the very beginning of Act 2. And it's the speech that Hamlet gives. And I think this could be a deep dive if you want to spend a day on the speech. The speech itself is interesting. The fact that it's in prose, not poetry, is interesting. And one could ask, does Hamlet follow his own acting advice? The speech is as follows. Hamlet is with 3 of the actors. Hamlet says, "Speak the speech." He's written a speech that is supposed to get a reaction from Claudius. "Speak the speech, I pray you, as I pronounced it to you, trippingly on the tongue. But if you mouth it, as many of our players do, I had as lief the town crier spoke my lines. Nor do not saw the air too much with your hand, thus, but use all gently, for in the very torrent tempest and, as I may say, whirlwind of your passion, you must acquire and beget a temperance that may give it smoothness." He's giving acting notes. "Oh, it offends me to the soul to hear a robustious periwig-pated fellow tear a passion to tatters." Hamlet hates overacting, he says. "To very rags, to split the ears of the groundlings, who for the most part are capable of nothing but inexplicable dumb shows and noise. I would have such a fellow whipped for o'erdoing termagant. It out Herod's Herod, pray you avoid it." Now, obviously there's some vocab and some references here you have to look at the notes for, but what's clear is Hamlet doesn't want them to overact the speech. And then he hears himself and he responds. He says, "But be not too tame neither. Let your own discretion be your tutor. Suit the action to the word to the action. With this, he's almost like the director, right? With this special observance, that you o'erstep not the modesty of nature. For anything so o'erdone is from the purpose of playing, whose end," so what's the point of acting, he says, "both at first and now was and is to hold as 'twere the mirror up to nature." Hamlet himself says that the point of theater is to hold a mirror up to the world itself. So that's just a fascinating moment in the play. We don't even need this for the plot to happen. I have a couple of students right now who are saying, this isn't essential to the plot. And I said to a student yesterday, but sometimes getting to know Hamlet's thoughts is the plot. Like Hamlet's thoughts are the plot, right? It's not just the actions, that thoughts can be actions too. So the name of the play that the actors enact is the Mousetrap. And what we have is we are watching Hamlet watch Claudius watch the play. It's an extremely clever use of the play within the play. There's some banter before the play that I won't pay super close attention to now, but of all the scenes in Hamlet, this is the one that is really treacherously difficult to just read on the page the first time you experience it. It's essential to watch all the watching happening. It's essential to watch all the layers of theater happening. So that's really, really, really important. Now, starting on line 98, the king begins like he begins Act 1, Scene 2 of the play, How Does My Lord Hamlet? And here it's How Fares Our Cousin Hamlet? And Hamlet responds with this weird response on line 99. Again, you don't have to know what the words mean to know that he's not giving a straight answer. And then there's banter with Polonius and there's banter with Ophelia. Hamlet is over the moon excited to be at a play and to be getting at the truth of what happened to his father. And the player king comes out around line 177, Act 3, Scene 2. I'm using the Folger. It's page 147. And it's these long, this isn't Shakespearean theater. This is like old fashioned kind of blocky, monologue-y theater. And it is about a player queen and a player king. And it's about marital love. And Hamlet, it's almost like watching a director's cut. If you ever love a movie and you get the director's cut, sometimes you can go and you can actually get it for this Brana version of Hamlet, but you can get like the director watching the movie and commenting. It's almost like Hamlet is giving sort of a play-by-play and color commentary. He asks people's opinions. He kind of previews things, and then right around line 280, we get Lucianus, who is the king's brother in the play. He shows up with drugs. Thoughts black, hands apt, drugs fit, and time agreeing. Confederate season, else no creature seeing, thou mixture rank of midnight weeds collected, with Hecate's band thrice blasted, thrice infected, thy natural magic and dire property, our wholesome life usurp immediately. And then the big stage direction pours the poison in the king's ears. And Hamlet doesn't wait to watch the king. Hamlet says out loud in front of everyone, he poisons him in the garden for his estate. His name's Gonzago. The story is extant and written in very choice Italian. You shall see anon how the murderer gets the love of Gonzago's wife. Ophelia says, the king rises. And Hamlet says, what? Frighted with false fire, meaning it's a play, it's not real. And the king just says, give me some light away. Right? So I'm just skimming over the surface of this, but you have to watch it, maybe even multiple versions of it. This is Hamlet's action. This is Hamlet's way of dealing with what he's been asked to do. He wants to make absolutely sure that the ghost wasn't the devil in disguise, and he uses the play to do it, and it worked. And then immediately we learn that the queen is very upset. This is one of the scenes my students often choose for their acting project. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern show up, and it's right around line 321 of Act 3, Scene 2. And it's just, again, all you need is Hamlet to be given a message, maybe in a letter, saying the queen needs to see you, or Hamlet could just go directly to the queen's chamber to tell her of what he's learned about Claudius. But instead, Shakespeare uses this moment to get these two guys who have already been caught spying on Hamlet. All they have, their only job here is to say, look, your mother wants to see you in her closet before you go to bed, in her bedroom before you go to bed. They call it closet, her private chambers. And typical of Hamlet, his responses early on are sarcastic. Guildenstern says in line 321, good my lord, vouchsafe me a word with you. And Hamlet says, oh, a whole history. I'll talk as long as you want. And the king and queen are upset. And basically, Hamlet is bantering with them and being sarcastic, but not angry. And then a group of musicians pass by and they have a recorder. And it's almost like improv. Hamlet grabs a recorder and basically uses that recorder as a metaphor for how his friends are trying to play him. Line 375 in Act 3, Scene 2. To withdraw with you, why do you go about to recover the wind of me as if you would drive me into a toil? And then he says, 380, will you play upon this pipe? My lord, I cannot. I pray you. Believe me, I cannot. I do beseech you. I know no touch of it, my lord. Hamlet says, it's easy as lying. Govern these ventages with your fingers and thumbs, give it breath with your mouth, and it will discourse most eloquent music. Look, here are the stops. He's showing them how to play the instrument because he's the instrument they're playing. Guildenstern finally says, sort of flabbergasted, but these cannot I command to any utterance of harmony. I have not the skill. Hamlet says, why look you now? How unworthy a thing you make of me. You'd play upon me. You would seem to know my stops. You would pluck out the heart of my mystery. Who could pluck out the heart of Hamlet's mystery, by the way? I have no idea. You would sound me from my lowest note to the top of my compass, and there is much music, excellent voice in this little organ. Yet cannot you make it speak? Splud, do you think I am easier to be played on than a pipe? Call me what instrument you will, though you can fret me, you cannot play upon me. Worth discussing why Hamlet bothers with these people anymore. Why does Hamlet bother confronting these two peons? Why? Interesting conversation. And this scene ends with an incredible tiny soliloquy. And I just want to share this before closing. It's Act 3, Scene 2. It's on page 161, line 419. Hamlet and Polonius banter. He is just tired of all these people. And Hamlet says, "'Tis now the very witching time of night, when churchyards yawn and hell itself breathes out contagion to this world. Now could I drink hot blood and do such bitter business as the day would quake to look on. Soft now, to my mother. O heart, lose not thy nature. Let not ever the soul of Nero enter this firm bosom." He doesn't want to be like Nero and kill his mother. He says, "I will speak daggers to her, but use none. My tongue and soul in this be hypocrites. How in my words somever she be shent or punished, to give them seals never my soul consent." So Hamlet now will be going to his mother, and he says he will be really harsh with her, but only verbally. This is an incredible scene, and I'm just scratching the surface of it, but I hope this short video helped. Thank you.